Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Joining me today is Reza Bafandeh, who is CEO of Darwynn Ltd. Thanks for joining us today, Reza.
Thank you, Mario. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, let's talk about the EGrocery business. First of all, what are the current challenges that industry, that sector of the retail industry is facing these days?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily specific to e-grocery, but I think e-commerce or commerce as a whole is facing some challenges when it comes to labor shortages. I think we're seeing a significant impact on retailers being able to identify good quality labor that they can retain for a long period of time. Also supply chains, and supply chain is a term used very loosely because depending on the organization or the company you are, it's very broad. Because it's from the point of origin to the moment the product arrives on site and you actually are able to liquidate it. We're seeing that the lack of data or the lack of visibility for a lot of these sellers or retailers is having an impact on being able to make the best decision that utilizes the best outcome for them. So yeah, we're seeing challenges on multiple fronts, but we're seeing the overall market on a continuous steady growth. I believe inflation is, I think we can all agree that inflation is having an impact on not only retailers, but also consumers being able to balance the spend versus necessary with respect to the cost associated with maintaining the operation. But yeah, it is on a steady growth pattern. And I think a lot of retailers are going to find innovative ways of being able to navigate through the challenges.
Let's talk about some of the navigational things out there. First of all, why are many models like click and collect continuing to lose money?
I mean, click and collect is an interesting one. You know, you're utilizing the store labor. I think there's a lot of the costs that are hidden within the click and collect operation. A lot of the G&A, so to say, or a lot of the procurement practices or potentially the waste kind of gets diluted throughout the operation and kind of become hidden. So a lot of the cost might not be visible to the overall impact on the profitability of a basket or a specific order. And on top of that, you're seeing, you're kind of, robbing from Peter to, pay Paul. You're taking inventory from a location that has, a limited amount of visibility because you have traffic coming into the store and leaving. So inventory and positioning of inventory is never as live and accurate as you want it to be. So how you represent that online might be impeding the customer experience, either on the online customer or the in-store customer that's walking in.
Yeah.
So it's on top of that, there are some traffic issues within the store, I believe, seeing some of the in-store click and collect models that play an impact.
Okay. How can companies shift the model to be more profitable?
I think there's been a lot of studies done. We're seeing that micro fulfillment centers are usually the most profitable direction, and micro fulfillment centers that combine a source of automation in conjunction working with an intelligent system that helps maintain a level of fluidity between your day-to-day operations, taking a lot of the complex tasks away from the individuals operating at everything from shelf life management, expiry management, and being able to create not only software intelligence, but also the automation to be able to support these activities, and then representing that level of data and insight that sellers get to their customers online so they can ensure products are being represented in a fair manner. And a perfect example would be, you walk into a typical store. If something is discounted at the grocery store, it's kind of been marked down and people take it. Some people are personally, I would grab something that I would see marked down. And it's very hard to represent that experience online, right? And if a grocer doesn't have the necessary technology, the necessary infrastructure to be able to make those decisions, and if you go into a micro fulfillment center and you can't represent that insight to the customer online, it does result in a higher degree of waste, which naturally will impact the bottom line of the organization, making it less profitable.
What about the sustainability and I guess the creation of a lot of waste in this industry right now?
Yeah, I think sustainability, I think That's a very good comment, because I think sustainability can be used in or improved in multiple different avenues. One of the first questions is, which is to my earlier comment, how do you make sure you represent expiry date management, shelf life management of these products to the customer, so they can make the best decision for them, and also be able to represent, price allocations or price discounts or fluidity of pricing to the end consumer, but also utilizing that data to make more intelligent procurement decisions of ensuring the right product arrives in the right condition at the right time for the right group of customers for the right destination. So I think there's these two balances that need to occur to help minimize the waste, and then also utilizing the data to convert or modify or represent or change the product that is at risk of becoming waste to redirect or increase the shelf life of it.
Yeah.
And a perfect example would be, imagine, you have a commissary, and being able to take, a chicken that's going bad and being able to convert it into a chicken sandwich, and putting that as a representation of being able to now be sold online as a retailer. Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity within the e-com and the retailer world to help on sustainable initiatives on a macro level.
Mm-hmm. What about hidden costs for delivery companies?
So delivery companies are an interesting one, and I think there's different ways that we can look at delivery. So delivery, you have the traditional carrier-based deliveries, which are next-day delivery, and then you have the hyper-reactiveness kind of models that exist. And we've seen, a lot of these larger companies take a significant hit on valuation and layoffs. And it's, we COVID, the impact of COVID resulted in a significant uptake of customers wanting that instant gratification of sales now. I want something now, and it was kind of method of de-risking themselves. And as we're seeing, not only due to inflation, but also due to labor shortages, but also retailers wanting to be more profitable, more solutions are coming out that combine sustainability into the last mile stream to create batches of delivery, not just singular transactional deliveries, but creating waves of delivery to not only help on the sustainable front from a carbon emission standpoint, but also helping provide that visibility to the consumer that if you change your delivery date or change your delivery time window, you actually help create a more sustainable delivery from a carbon emission standpoint and from a transactional standpoint as well.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about technology. You kind of mentioned it throughout here. How important is technology in the e-grocery business? And, what are we seeing that's, I guess, facilitating that?
So I think technology is, there's the software side of the business and then the hardware side of the business. And I think the most important thing is actually the orchestration of these two. And within e-grocery or e-commerce or commerce in specific, we're seeing companies, saying they're going through a digital transformation, but the operational world actually requires a bigger digital transformation for these organizations to be able to invest the right amount of capital in technology to get the right benefits that they need. And we're seeing, specifically when it comes to grocery, and I'll speak on grocery, but the rest of the commerce world as well. But e-grocery naturally has one of the lowest, kind of profit margins within the market. So investing in the right areas to ensure that it works for the sellers, the seller's objective and the customer's objective are aligned to maintain a profitability standpoint, ensuring a better experience for the consumer and ensuring, better decision-making of, short shelf life products being positioned in the right quantity at the right location, I think is going to become a more and more important thing for the e-grocers. And I think one of the other components is the rest of the e-commerce world naturally has a little bit more margin to play with in comparison to e-grocery. And, one of the things with Darwin is, we're seeing three main units of business. You have the wholesale distribution, which has a technology component to it, which is, what is wholesale? Because you could be, if you're a small seller, a couple cases is wholesale, but if you're a large retailer, trailers are wholesale. And then you have B2C, which a lot of people refer, you have the Amazons of the world or companies that sell online directly. But what is B2C? Because I might be a wholesale shopper because I have, a huge family and I need to buy stuff in wholesale. So where is B2C? And then the final one is EGrocery. And EGrocery is also a fluid term because, in most e-grocery websites, a light bulb might be part of the assortment, but is that e-grocery or a paper towel? Paper towel is also sold on many websites. Is it e-grocery? So there's blurry lines here, right? And one of the beauties of the Darwin system is we don't have that blurry vision because it's one ecosystem that can handle multiple avenues of wholesale for retailers for their distribution. It could handle the B2C business and has the capability of encompassing and kind of conjoining the e-grocery world for one unisys ecosystem.
So tell me a little bit about Darwin. What do you guys do?
So Darwin is kind of a, it's a multi-tenanted ecosystem. We have, with the company's been around for a few years. I joined just under a year ago, and we've gone through a massive campaign of, launching a nationwide network. So we have facilities right now rolled out in Toronto and rolled out in Calgary. And we have expansion plans to go even within Vancouver and within Montreal in this year, actually. And what it is a multi-tenant, multi-channel ecosystem. That means it allows sellers of all sizes, as long as the products are, within our paradigm of ensuring legality, it's nothing illegal, nothing hazardous. If it's within these paradigms, multiple tenants, multiple sellers, multiple brands, and even e-grocery players can have their products running in unison in one symbiotic ecosystem where, based on technology, the technology that's been developed, the order collaboration platform that we've kind of nicknamed, has the ability to take all these orders and create waves of the most economic, most productive outcome of orchestration of these orders, which are then handled in combination with automation and individuals to be able to create finished orders, which might be e-grocery orders, e-com orders, business-to-business orders, wholesale orders in singular batches of waves for delivery. So being able to take everyone's configured ecosystem, because a lot of sellers or wholesale, they operate differently. Building a system that has the configurability that many people can tailor the way they want their business to be adopted and ran through the Darwin ecosystem is kind of our main differentiator. Okay. And the fact that we're nationwide.
Okay, super. One last question I have for you. You look at this whole landscape with e-commerce and e-grocery. Where do you see it going in terms of use by the consumer? Do you see a continuing trend in the upward direction, or we kind of, now that we're, well, I was going to say out of COVID, we're not really out of COVID, but we're kind of moving away from that. Do you think it will flatline, so to speak, in terms of growth?
No, I mean, I think it's actually going to increase, and it's going to increase in a very unique way. At least I think it's going to increase in total, but it's going to increase in a unique way as well. I mean, COVID gave a rise of appreciation to the local sellers, right? And we're seeing local sellers being, there's this nozzle being tightened on them based on labor markets and inflation, and they're looking for multiple different avenues of being able to increase their capabilities and their outreach, specifically within the Canadian market. And Canada is a very unique country because, you have this huge landscape, and then you have like one line that majority of the population kind of lives under. So it's a very complex geography. And we're seeing a lot of, local sellers trying to expand their reach outside of the provincial market that they're within. And that's one of the things that Darwin is highlighting its capability on, of helping these small sellers to be able to expedite their onboarding process, of being able, the company, I think like Showcase, they do a really good job of kind of adapting trends and being able to take it into the retail world. We are a little bit, different in terms of ideology. It's kind of taking in, sellers that want to onboard their product, or sellers that are, a fair size, being able to adopt their product very quickly, orchestrate it around the nation very effectively. And because of the geolocation of these inventories being positioned close to the consumer, helping them reduce cost and making them competitive as they expand within the Canadian market.
All right, super. Well, thanks very much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Reza Bafandeh, who is CEO of Darwynn Ltd. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.